you. Jaya Radha. Ooh. Who put that drum down here? Get the red one. I was wondering, this drum feels pretty light. Now I know why.
You don't need orange one in my A.
Don't worry, we'll be all right. Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Jai Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama Hare Hare, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari. Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Ashtotar to Sri Srimad Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Ashtotar to Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnava Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Yeah. All right. This thing is, I don't understand. I'm going to throw this thing away. I don't need it. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. On this 9th day of July, 2024 in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we're in the 9th chapter, the most confidential knowledge, text number 23. Ye api anya devata bhakta yajante sadayanvitaha. I'm sorry, page 403. Te api mam eva kaunteya yajanti avidhi purvakam ye pyanda devata bhakta yajante shraddhayanvitaha te pimameva kaunteya yajant avadipurvakam ye pyanda devata bhakta yajante shraddhayanvitaha te pimameva kaunteya yajant avadipurvakam ye pyanya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayanvitaha te pimameva kaunteya yajant avadipurvakam. Go ahead. Ye pyanya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayanvitaha te pimameva kaunteya yajant avadipurvakam. Nelson. Ye pyanya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayanvitaha te pimameva kaunteya yajant avadipurvakam. Anyone over here? Else want to try? Okay. Mirabal, you're on. Ye pyanya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayanvitaha te pimameva kaunteya yajant avadipurvakam. Ye pyanya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayanvitaha te pimameva kaunteya yajant avadipurvakam. Okay, anyone else on this side of the room? Okay. Anyone online? Chad, you there?
Hare Krishna. Ye pyanya devata bhakta.
Ye pyanya devata bhakta
Yajante shraddhayanvitaha.
yajante shraddhayanvitaha
Te pimameva kaunteya.
te pimameva kaunteya
Yajantya vidipurvakam.
yajant avadipurvakam. Okay, where's just read along silently. Yea, those who, api, also, anya, of other devata gods, bhakta, devotees, yajante, worship, shraddhaya anvitaha, with faith, te, they, api, also, mam, me, eva, only, kaunteya, O son of Kunti, yajanti, they worship, avadipurvakam, in a wrong way. Translation: those who are devotees of other gods and who worship them with faith actually worship only me, O son of Kunti, but they do so in a wrong way. Purport. Quote, persons who are engaged in the worship of demigods are not very intelligent, though such worship is offered to me indirectly, Krishna says. For example, when a man pours water on the leaves and branches of a tree without pouring water on the root, he does so without sufficient knowledge or without observing regulative principles. Similarly, the process of rendering service to different parts of the body is to supply food to the stomach. The demigods are, so to speak, different officers and directors in the government of the Supreme Lord. One has to follow the laws made by the government, not by the officers or directors. Similarly, everyone is to offer his worship to the Supreme Lord only. That will automatically satisfy the different officers and directors of the Lord. The officers and directors are engaged as representatives of the government, and to offer some bribe to the officers and directors is illegal. This is stated here as avidi purvakam. In other words, Krishna does not approve the unnecessary worship of the demigods. Om jnanatimirandasya jnanandana shalakaya chakshur unmilitam mena tasmai shri gurave namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and to all members of Shri Parampara, the disciplic succession. So, I'd like to thank everyone for coming here. Maybe everyone who's normally online has traveled to San Diego and come down to the class physically, but I think they're also out there because some are in Canada and some are in Nevada and everything. Thank you for coming also. So, what is Krishna saying here? What is the context of this verse? That's always important. So, the whole point of this chapter is to bring us to the reality of the last verse in the chapter. There's a certain argument that he's making here. And the last verse says, if you want to achieve the highest goal in life, here's what to do. Manmana bhavaman bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Mamai varshasi yuktaivam atmanam matparayanaha. So basically he's saying there, you should just think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and bow down to me. Being linked to me in devotion, you will certainly come to me. And we should understand this is a basic theme throughout all of the books, and that is that the whole goal of our lives is to end the process of birth and death, old age, disease, and death, known as samsara, the wheel of samsara. I always remember when I first learned about the Kumbh Mela. Many of you, certainly those who are in India, know about the Kumbh Mela, right? It comes. There are different melas, and every 12 years they have a huge one, right? It's coming in January. It's just coming. All right, let's make plans to go. Wow. Okay. So the main, I think, motive gathered 30 million, 40 million, 50 million people each year. It's bigger. Each 12 years is bigger. Is to take bath at the confluence of the Triveni. Now, Triveni means where the Ganges and the Yamuna meet. Well, where's the tree? Well, the tree is the Saraswati River, which is not visible now, but there's 3 rivers come together there. And by astrology, they calculate a certain time in January, usually always January, when it's auspicious to bathe there and you get liberation. And so you have millions and millions of people. Of course, they have over 1.5 billion people who live in the country. But you have not only now from India, but also people from abroad are coming there in order to get liberation. And why is that so valuable? Well, just if you understand the basic principle that we are spirit soul, we're not these bodies. That's the first lesson. You're not that body. I made a little ditty out of it so you could easily remember. Every body dies. Who can deny it? Every single body dies. That's it. Every body dies. Nobody dies. Wake up, and open your eyes. You're not that body. You're pure spirit soul. Chant the holy name and attain life's goal. That's the Hare Krishna movement in a nutshell. So, at the very beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, or the beginning of Krishna's teachings in the Bhagavad Gita, which really begins in the 2nd chapter, verse 11. You know the whole context, many of you, this is 18 chapters in the huge book called the Mahabharata. And the main theme there is a struggle between the Pandavas and their allies and the Kauravas, led by Duryodhana and the 100 sons of Dhritarashtra. He's leading the 100 sons. And it was all a confusion because Pandu died untimely, and so Dhritarashtra was then the eldest son, but he was blind. So but the Pandavas were just boys. They couldn't take the throne right away. So he was basically caretaking the throne. But after being on the throne for a while and having all these 100 sons, then Duryodhana, who was the 100, so my father is the king, why don't we get the throne, get the kingdom? So there's this big fight that goes on. It's a long story. And the Pandavas, the 5 sons of Pandu, led by Yudhishthira. Yudhishthira is the son of Yamaraj, who's Dharmaraj. He's Dharma personified. So Kṛṣṇa, and all of the Pandavas are great devotees of Kṛṣṇa. So everyone who's born in India knows this verse. You can chant along. Yada yada hi dharmasya, glani bhavati bharata, abhyutanam adharmasya, tadatmanam sajamyaham. Right? We know that. So this is the reason why Kṛṣṇa comes to this world. He doesn't have any, as Prabhupada says, he doesn't have anything to do here. He doesn't have to do anything. But he wants to come to reinstitute Dharma. The verse, the translation roughly goes, whenever and wherever there is a discrepancy in the practice of Dharma and the uprise of Adharma throughout this world, then I advent myself. And what did he do? Paratanaya sadhunam, vinashaya chaduskatam, dharma sangstapanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge. In order to protect the devotees, he's very careful for his devotees, and in order to get rid of the miscreants who are causing so much trouble, and to reestablish real Dharma, I appear millennium after millennium. Now, he very rarely comes personally as Kṛṣṇa, but he expands into different avatars in order to do this function. So, why is he so concerned? Again, because we're children. We're his children. He claims us in the 14th chapter. Not just human beings, every living being is his offspring. Aham bija pradakpita, he says very plainly in the 14th chapter. So he's concerned, like any father, any parent would be, about their wayward children who are suffering unnecessarily in this material world. Now we say, well, wait a minute, it's not all bad. I mean, we have some fun sometimes, and I have a good project to getting a good job, and it's not so bad. But when you realize, you can contrast that, it's all bound by time. In the next chapter, Krishna will, in the 11th chapter, he says this famous verse. I didn't see the movie Oppenheimer. Did it come up in Oppenheimer? So Krishna shows his universal form. Arjuna wants to see it, right? Not for himself, but Prabhupada says for others who may claim to be avatars of Krishna, of God. Okay, show me a universal form. Nobody can do it. It's very awe-inspiring. In fact, Arjuna is what happened to my Kṛṣṇa, my friend Kṛṣṇa? This is this huge form, and he sees all of the soldiers getting crushed in the jaws of this. So he says, "Who are you?" Basically implying you're not Kṛṣṇa. Who are you? So he answers famously, "Kalo smī loka chaya kritva vidho." I am time, and I have come to destroy everything. And so we should take that personally and say, what does that mean for my life? It means that whatever hopes I have of establishing some kind of permanent situation in this world, or getting a place of security and happiness, it's all simply a mirage, it's an illusion. By the force of time, it will be destroyed sooner or later. And well, then you can say, oh yeah, that's life. Come on. Everybody goes through it, and when you're dead, you're dead. No, you're not. You don't die. Jayate mriyate vakadachan nayam budva bhavitavandabuya ajo nitya shashatoyam purano nahanyate hanyamane sharire. This is a verse very similar to the Upanishadic verse that Prabhupada quotes in the purport. So it's a very important first step in understanding, because if we don't accept the truth of this verse, then we won't really be inspired to go through what's necessary in the term of effort and determination to practice Krishna consciousness. So what he's saying there, and this, he's kind of summing up other verses that for the soul, there is never birth or death at any time. The soul is that irreducible, minute, but eternal principle of consciousness, source of consciousness. That's where an angsha of Krishna. This concept of being an angsha, Krishna describes in the 15th chapter. Mama evangsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. That every living entity, not just human bodies, every living soul, wherever there's life, there's a soul, they're my angsha. And angsha means we have a perfect example. We got this big ocean out here. You take a little cup of it or even a drop of it, and it'll have the same qualities. It'll be a little salty, right, like the big ocean. But obviously there's a huge difference in quantity. But the quality is the same. So Krishna is eternal, we're eternal. There's no question. This word aja, nitya, unborn, eternal, ever-existing, and primeval, that's describing the soul, but it's also describing Krishna. Nahanyate hanyamane sharire. The soul is not slain when the body is slain. Now, the body is slain, sometimes it's by natural causes, but one way or another, it becomes dysfunctional. I mean, it's not an outlandish thing to understand that the body is a very complicated machine, right? I mean, the medical science tries to figure out just how it's working. If there's some imbalance, you do it this way. And Ayurveda all try to preserve the functioning of the body. But at a certain point, it becomes dysfunctional, one way or another, either by some accident or some weapon or more commonly disease. We all got to go, right? But that soul goes on to another body. That's dehinosmin yata dehe kaumadam yovanam tata dehantara prapti dhiras tatra namuyati. That within the body there's the dehina. Deha means body. Dehina means the soul in the body. Dehino asmin yata dehe. Just as all of us have gone through childhood, right? We were born, we grew up, we didn't know anything. Gradually we learned how to function. Childhood, and then adolescence, and then young womanhood, manhood, and then middle age, and now I'm old, and we're all on this perspective. There's a beautiful painting that was done early on in ISKCON, changing bodies. Right? You have the little baby, and then the little boy, and then on, and then the old man going down, and there's a little light in there in the heart moving along. And that's how it is. So the soul passes on to another body. Now the question is, what kind of body are you going to get? In the human form of life, we have that option because of our intelligence. We have more freedom, more free will to act in a certain way, and if we know how to do it, we can get the best next body. And the best next body is not a material body, it's a spiritual body. Let's say it's not getting a spiritual body, it's reviving our spiritual body that we already have in the spiritual world in relation to Krishna. And the perfection is this feeling of the relationship with Krishna, which we express in varieties, as a friend, as a servant, as a parent, or as a lover, eternally. Because it's ever fresh. It's not like hackneyed. We do the same thing every day. No, it's newer ways of cavorting and playing in the forest and all these different things. So that's where Krishna is bringing us. Now, the Bhagavad Gita doesn't say much about the spiritual world. It does talk about it several places and describes it. There's no need for light, for electricity, to the moon, the sun. Everything is self-effulgent. But we get much greater detail in other books, such as Srimad Bhagavatam, which Srila Prabhupada, this is, the saga of how he came to America is very much tied up with his producing the Srimad Bhagavatam, the first canto of the Bhagavatam. It took him 4 years to produce 3 books. He had no money, it was difficult. And when he had those books in hand, this was in 1965, he knew he needed, it was now or never to obey the order of a spiritual master to preach Krishna consciousness abroad in the English language. So his spiritual master Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati in the early 20th century, he sent a group of devotees to England to try to preach there, because Lord Chaitanya said his name would be chanted all over the world. But they couldn't do much. They approached the lords and the ladies, but they weren't dealing with the hoi polloi. And they made 1 or 2 disciples, but then they came back after some time. So then it was up to Srila Prabhupada to try to do it, and he did it amazingly, you know. And he had those books, and he put everything in those first 3 volumes, the first canto. He didn't know how much he was going to be able to do. So the whole science is there of bhakti. But he when he got to America and he started to get some traction, he very much wanted to produce the full Bhagavad Gita as we have it here. And he wrote it, but the publisher wouldn't risk, you know, a 1,000-page book. So they said, no, it has to be 400 pages maximum. So he had to cut down the purports. He wasn't so happy. That was in 68. But in 72, they because the other ones were being sold so nicely, they said, okay, we'll print the unabridged. And that's what we have now. It's a long history. So what is Krishna saying here? He's saying that, because he's going back and forth. You remember, if we had a few verses back, he was explaining why those who worship the gods, the demigods, to go to heaven, they're actually self-defeating. They may succeed. Text 20 and 21, I'll just read the English. Those who study the Vedas and drink the Soma juice, seeking the heavenly planets, worship me indirectly. Purified of sins for reactions, they take birth on the pious heavenly planet of Indra, where they enjoy godly delights. Then the next verse in the first half, he says here, they're enjoying like anything. When they have thus enjoyed vast heavenly sense pleasures, and the results of their pious activities are exhausted, because this is a material process, it's not really spiritual. It's just like you're working hard all year, you know, accumulating money in the bank, then you can go on vacation. Okay, it's so hot around here, let's go to San Diego, I hear it's pretty cool, and they have that nice zoo, you know. And we have a whole bunch of tourists coming, a lot more than usual. And so they have the credit card and everything's going nicely, you know. But then, you know, at a certain point, the time runs out, the credit card, hey, do you have another card? You know, your credits run out. Here, probably your pious credits run out in Indraloka. And then you've been there enjoying godly delights, vast, like Vishalam, Bhuktva Swarga Lokam Vishala means, you know, like anything. But Chine Punye Martya Lokam Vishanti. Krishna doesn't mince words. He doesn't say you come back down to earth. He says, you come back down to this world of death. Martya, it's the same word in English. You have to think about it. Mortician, you know, mortal, martya. So after your pious credits are used up, in other words, after some time, it may be a long time, it may be thousands of years, but you still have to come back. And so by observing this Traya Dharma means the Vedas, Karma Kanda section of the Vedas, that tell you all the different varieties of sacrifices and things to go to heaven. Thus, by anupapanna gatagatam kama kama labande, this is all material desire. It's nothing spiritual about it. You just go and come and you're back on earth. And then you have to still face birth, old age, disease, and death. On the other hand, Krishna says 22, before the one we read, Ananyaschintayantamam yejanapayapasate tesham nityabhayuktanam yogakshema bahamyaham. This is like an incredible statement at the end here. Those who simply put their attention on me, who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, not worrying about demigods, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. In other words, he takes care of the material necessities of such a person because they become dear to him. We're not getting deviated into trying to enjoy in heaven or something. So then it goes back, those who worship other gods with faith, Yajan Avadipur, they're worshiping me because the demigods are not independent. They get their boons from Krishna. He authorizes to give. He's giving. So they're worshiping indirectly Avidipurvakam. Vidi are the rules of the Vedas. But this is Avidi, means without proper things. So let's go on to text 24. Now he's going to finish the argument and work up to the final verse here. And this very important verse, text 26, how we can eat spiritually. Aham hi sabhayangyanam bhokta cha pavareva cha natamam abhijananti tattvenatas chabantite. I am the only enjoyer and master of all sacrifices. Therefore, those who do not recognize my true transcendental nature fall down. Purport. Here it is clearly stated that there are many types of yajna performances, yajna means sacrifices, recommended in the Vedic literatures, but actually all of them are meant for satisfying the Supreme Lord. Yajna means Vishnu. In the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly stated that one should only work for satisfying Yajna or Vishnu. Yajyartart kamanonyatya lokayam karma bandhana. The perfectional form of human civilization, known as Varnashram Dharma, is specifically meant for satisfying Vishnu. Therefore, Krishna says in this verse, I am the enjoyer of all sacrifices because I am the Supreme Master. Less intelligent persons, however, without knowing this fact, worship demigods for temporary benefit. Therefore, they fall down to material existence and do not achieve the desired goal of life. If, however, anyone has any material desire to be fulfilled, he had better pray for it to the Supreme Lord, although that is not pure devotion, and he will thus achieve the desired result. So, in the 7th chapter, Krishna describes 4 classes of pious people who worship him. They may be for material reasons, but at least they're worshiping Krishna. Chattavadabhajantanam jana sukritanojana arto jigyasur artharti jnanicha vadatarshaba. Now later he exalts the jnanis, those who are really in knowledge and looking for real knowledge. But anyone who approaches Krishna for whatever reason is on the right track. So the first one, and it's a very common reason why people go to church or temple or anything, is because they're suffering from something. Artha, some disease or poverty, actually, is concluded here. And so they'll come for relief. But they're coming to Krishna, so that's good. Another category is jigyasu, someone who's simply curious, simply inquisitive. This is fine. You know, some people come to the temple all the time. What are you guys up to anyway? You know, oh, you should see, I take a book. And if someone is, and they start on their way. So that's fine, that's good. And then the other one, then one is artharti. Now there's 2 categories. Prabhupada said artharti means someone who's in need of money. But if you're really poverty-stricken, that falls into the artha. You have to distinguish between artha and artha. Artha means money. Artha means some suffering, right? So the example given is Dhruva. Now Dhruva wasn't poverty-stricken, but he was, he's a little boy, and the story that his stepmother was trying to cut him out of the inheritance. So he went to his real mother and said, Mom, the stepmother is insulting me. He said, oh, I can't do anything. Your father loves her more than me, but God can help you. So then where is God? He said, well, I understand the sages go into the forest to find him. So off he went, trudging, 5-year-old boy, And Narada Muni comes and gives him a test. Hey, you're too young. Go back, I'll teach you later. He says, look, oh great sage, I highly revere you, but if you can't help me now, I'm going to go off myself. He said, okay. So he taught him this process of yoga. And it included chanting of the holy name, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, but also severe austerities, and like that, but the main, and breathing. So he advanced so quickly, became so powerful a yogi that he was entraining the universal breathing, and the demigods went to Vishnu and said, can you please do something? Go down there, we're suffering, this little boy is becoming good. So he appeared before Dhruva, and Dhruva came out of his trance and said, and went into ecstasy and then basically he said, which a verse that's not in the Bhagavatam, but it's very well known. Stana bilasi tapasistitoham tvam praptavan devamanindra guyam kacham vichindvan napi divya ratnam swaman kratatos mibadang niyache. That last line Prabhupada loved to quote. He says, oh my Lord, there's Vishnu standing there and with his 4 hands effulgent and beautiful. So Dhruva is feeling great ecstasy, and he says, oh my dear Lord, stana bilai, I was longing after a position, meaning a kingdom even greater than my father's, And in that way, I situated myself in severe austerity, tapasisti toham. But now I've gotten you, it's Tvam Praptavan, Devam and Indraguyam, who are hidden away from even the great devas. They don't get a vision of you all the time. So now I realize what I was looking for, this great kingdom, greater than my grandfather Brahma, was like broken glass. It was nothing compared to your darshan. Api divya ratnam, I've got the divine jewel of your darshan. And then the punchline is, Swamin katatos mivadamniyachi, my dear Lord, I don't want anything else. I don't need anything else now. I don't care about the kingdom, just let me be your servant, So that's a great example of how when one actually gets pure devotion to Krishna, and Krishna appears and blesses one, then you realize every other aspiration is like dust, And we can even feel that, those of us who practice Krishna consciousness for some time, that the chanting and the serving, the beautiful darshan, the festivals, the prasadam, the association of books, all of this is completely satisfying. It's true that we're habituated to other things, but those things, those desires, are keeping us bound here. And so the whole idea is to sublimate your consciousness and your desires and your sense activities to bhakti yoga, to realize, as Krishna will say in the 2 verses hence, that patam pusham palam toyam, this famous verse about prasadam. Well, we have to eat. Well, how can we eat so we don't get entangled? Well, we have to eat we have to eat after offering to Krishna. Then we have to know what he wants what he wants. So he says in summary, patam pusham palam toyam. Okay, the leaf means tulsi leaf, or it means salad, or any vegetarian. Pushpam, flower, that can include the flowering of the grains, all these things. And of course, fruits and water or milk. In other words, these type of things. One who offers to me these preparations made from these things with love and devotion. That's what he's really after. Krishna is always after that. Whatever we do is meant to be a variety of expression of love for Krishna. Just like we're coming up on August 4th, the festival in LA, the Rath Yatra. And hopefully you can all attend. And it's been going on since 1977. I was there for the first one. There was never a Rath Yatra in LA. It was always San Francisco. That was the one Rath Yatra in the whole USA for the first 10 years. First one at 67. Prabhupada couldn't go because he was ill. But it was there. But then the other thing, well, why can't we have it in other cities? So the leader there said, no, it's too much trouble, But who was there? Jayananda. He had this terminal illness, but he was strong enough to say, well, you didn't want to do it, but I'm going to call up the builders anyway to give the wood. He was calling up all his friends. So finally, Ramasar agreed, okay, let's do it. And it was a great success. Believe it or not, we had an elephant. We rented an elephant, and I forget who was riding on the elephant. The first couple, the 77, 78 also. Yes. It was fabulous. And it's been going on to huge success. So it's such a great joy to chant in front of Jagannath, chant Hare Krishna, and thousands of people on the side, and you go on the beach and there's crowds there, And then there's a big festival at the end, there's prasadam for sale and other things, and it's wonderful. And a stage where there's all this chanting and also some plays. So don't miss it. If you live here, you try to reserve a place on the bus. We had charter a bus, go up, you don't have to worry about driving. And usually I sit in the back and then they ask me to come up and chant a few poems. So in the middle of the bus ride, I'm holding on and chanting Shikshastika. It's a great festival. So then, and it's all very wholesome. It's like pleasing the Krishna. You're enjoying not by the sense gratification, but because you're pleasing Krishna. And Prabhupada designed this movement with their morning program and evening program that every day would be a festival, a mini festival. You come together. When I joined, I joined one of the two main temples. I didn't know this, but I was joining one of the two main temples in the world, which was New York and LA. This was in 1973. And morning and evening program, big kirtan temple was full, and we had 60, 70 devotees. And who were the devotees? They were the cream of the crop. We had all the artists there because we were producing the books. And we had some wonderful musicians playing the drum, And so I would have learned to play the drum. I still don't know how to play the drum. But they had all these other drummers, so what do they need me for, But anyway, the Krishna consciousness is actually blissful from the beginning. Yes, there's some austerity involved, but after a certain point, the austerity becomes a source of happiness. It's not, after some time getting up early in the morning to come to Mangalarti, it's not an austerity, it's a great joy, It's not, it's like, another Mangalarti. No, it's like, wow, I'm going to see, the Lord, Radha Hari, beautiful deities, and chant Hare Krishna, and see all my friends, So, as Krishna says at the beginning of this chapter, those who know this verse, very famous verse, Raja Vidya, Raja Guyam, Pavitramidam Uttamam, Pratyakshavagam Dharmyam, Susukam Kartam Abhyayam. This Krishna consciousness is the king of education, Raja Vidya, Raja Guyam, and it is the king of secrets also, of confidential knowledge. Pavitramidam Uttamam, it is the supremely purifying process. Pavitramidam Uttamam. Pratyakshavagam, it gives you direct perception of the spirit of reality of the Lord. Dharmyam is the supreme dharma, and then the last line, susukam kartama. It is very happily performed, not like, I got to go to the Himalayas and sit alone like chapter 6. What if I slouch a little? No, you got to sit like this, and then I could never do this. He says, and keep your vision between the two eyebrows. I get cross eyes. I can't do that. And then, in other words, that's not for us. There's a few who can still do that. But the process of Krishna consciousness is very practical, and it is given by Krishna in his form as Lord Chaitanya for this age. And it's based on the Vedas, on the Bhagavatam. There's a wonderful verse in the 12th canto of Bhagavatam. That's the last canto, near the end of the whole book. And there's a whole list of the things that are going to happen in Kali Yuga. Mercy will decrease, longevity will decrease, truthfulness will decrease, and they give a list of all of these demonic kings that are going to come and everything. And then finally, at the end there, Sukadev says to Parikshit, did you want to sit down? We have a seat here. Yeah. Is it okay? Okay. He says, Kalir doshe nide rajan, this is about chanting. Kalir doshe nide rajan asti eko mahadguna. Kirtanadeva Krishnasya Mukta Sangha Param Vrajet. This Kali Yuga, only 16 minutes, we got darshan. You can't stay? Anyway, thank you for coming. This Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults. Dosha Nidhe. Nidhe means ocean, dosha means faults. Do we need to count them? Just go outside and see, wherever you look. It's climate change, it's certain leadership that's coming in, is trying to come in, that's just nightmarish. But anyway, you don't look very far. You don't have, and he just listed them all. Kali doshanide rajan, O king, asti eko mahadguna, but there's one very special great quality of this age, this Kali Yuga especially. Kirtanadeva Krishnasya mukta sangha param vrajet. Just by chanting the name of Krishna, Kirtanadeva Krishnasya, mukta sangha, very important word. Mukta sangha means you become free from bad attachments. The attachments are what's keeping us, material keeping us coming back again and again. Or you become free of all bad association, but I think more likely it means bad attachment. And paramvrajat, you go back to the spiritual world. And that's why Lord Chaitanya, he emphasized and showed by his example this congregational chanting of Hare Krishna. No restriction. If I want to go to India and learn to chant the Vedas, and I want to come under the Brahman and say, no. You have to be born a Brahmin to chant the Vedas just right. You're too old. Of course, I'm too old now. I'm not eligible. But you want to chant Hare Krishna? Yeah, anyone can chant. Anytime, any place. You can even chant in the bathroom. Not any other mantras. Just chant that. So, what could be easier? And Prabhupada would often say, where's the expenditure? Where's the austerity? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It's a special dispensation. But of course, to chant, to achieve the final goal, we want to get rid of the offenses and chant properly under the guidance of the Shastra and the Guru, But it's feasible for any one of us. So Krishna is emphasizing that. I am the enjoyer, master of all sacrifices. If you recall, if you study the Bhagavad Gita, at the very end of the 5th chapter, there's the peace formula, where Krishna says, Bhoktaram yagyitabasam sarvaloka maheshwaram sudidam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shantim richati. Exactly what he says here. I am the enjoyer of all sacrifices. One who recognizes this. Bhoktaram yagya tapasam. Of all sacrifices, all austerities, I am the proper enjoyer of the results. Sarvaloka Maheshadam, I'm the ultimate Lord of every planet, the Supreme Personality. But then the important thing for each of us is Suridam Sarvabhutanam. I am the most well-wishing friend, ever well-wisher, as Prabhupada would say, of every living entity. That includes us. So at first he said, oh my God, he's the supreme sacrificer and the master of all worlds. I better serve him, out of fear. He said, no. He's your best friend. He's your well-wisher. Suddhism, one who can realize this can really attain peace in this world. Otherwise, there's no peace. If we're always trying to get this, trying to get that, trying to take revenge on this person, or to escape the situation or whatever, maybe I'll take a drug, that'll be okay. No, that's material solution. There's no solution there. This is the solution. You can actually become peaceful the less you want materially, to live as simply as possible. This is the nature of the sadhus. Titikshava karunika suridak sarvadehinam ajata shatta bhakshanta sada bhaksara bhushana. So we're just reading about Prahlad, who's the ideal sadhu, and he says, I have no problem. He has no problem. His father tried to torture him and kill him in so many ways, and then Sringadev came and saved him, and then he has these beautiful prayers. We just finished the prayers. It's a wonderful chapter, chapter 9 of the 7th canto. And he's saying there, this is the real sign of a sadhu, He's saying, Naibod vijay paradorotya vaitaranyas tvadviya gayana mahamata magna chitta. He says, he's speaking to Lord Nrsingadev. He's a little 5-year-old boy, and he's big Nrsingadev, but he's very peaceful now, very kind, because he loves Prahlad. He just killed all the demons in Aranyakashipu. Here, over on this side, please. Oh, no shoes. Yeah, no shoes. And maybe he can sit on next to the bench there. Just move that up. You can sit here on the bench. Okay? So, we have 1 minute or two. So he's saying there to Nrsingadev, I have absolutely no anxiety. I'm not disturbed at all, because wherever I am, I can sing your glories and immerse my mind in an ocean of nectar. You see? But I am lamenting. Why are you lamenting? For all these fools and rascals who are trying to enjoy Maya Sukhaya, illusory happiness, and who are suffering like anything. And I have to try to help them to come to you. This is the preacher's understanding. And this is what all, like Srila Prabhupada, but he didn't have to come to America. He was nicely situated in Vrindavan, at the center of the universe there, the Radha Damodar temple where all the Goswamis would meet, very, very super holy place. I visited there several times. But he had that order from his spiritual master to go and try to save these poor souls who had never heard of Krishna. And he had Lord Chaitanya's prediction that his name would be heard all over the world. So he felt, even at the advanced age of 69, not in the best of health, okay, it's now or never, and he tried it, and the whole thing is a miracle, that he could come, and he could succeed, and then build a big temple in Juhu, and Mayapur, and Vrindavan. Just incredible. So we are part of that. That the fact that you're coming to this class, and we're studying Prabhupada's book, Bhagavad Gita as it is, you have the connection. This is what I always like to stress, that when we read the Bhagavad Gita, we are associating directly with Krishna, because these are his words, and with Srila Prabhupada. And what could be more auspicious than that? I'll just end with this one verse, and then if there's some discussion. From the Bhagavatam, this verse appears twice in the Bhagavatam. Any verse that appears more than once, is very important. It says, Tuliyama lavenapi, nasvargam na punarbhavam, Bhagavat Sangi Sangasya Martyananka Mutashisha. Very important verse. It says, even a moment's association with an associate of the Lord. We know about Sangha, Sadhu Sangha, right? It's Satsanga. Sangha means association, very important. But then the one who associates is a Sangi. And so Bhagavat Sangi is an associate of Krishna. He may look like he's just wandering on the earth, but his consciousness is at Krishna's lotus feet, and Krishna is with him at every moment. So, Bhagavat Sangi Sangasya, association with an associate of the Lord, a pure devotee, is more valuable a moment's association, tulyam lavenabi, by going to heaven, just like we heard going to Indraloka. Na punar bhavam, mean not coming back, liberation, into the Brahman, much more valuable than that. And then it says, what to speak of some material benefit, on this plane, no comparison. So what is that value? The value is that if you can hear, you can get the inspiration to pursue bhakti. And in these days, one of the main ways which you can do it is just read the book, because you're getting the association of Srila Prabhupada here, and you're getting association of Krishna. What could be more auspicious than that? And of course, how you take the association means read it with interest. And yes, there could be things in there you may not understand. That's why we have these classes. But Krishna is speaking this for our benefit, and Srila Prabhupada is explaining it for our benefit. And if we receive it nicely, then we can purify our intelligence, and the intelligence, from the intelligence we can get the determination to proceed in bhakti. It's open to everybody. Okay, I'll stop haranguing you. Any questions, comments? Oh, we have one over here. Yeah, is it on? Okay.
Yeah. So it's regarding the verse where it says, if you worship other gods, then ultimately you are worshiping me.
Yes, indirectly. Avidi purvakam. Yeah.
So I have two questions concerning this. So why is it like, let's say if a person is worshiping Indra, then they'll go to Indra. If a person is worshiping
Krishna says that. In fact, he says it in the next verse.
Yeah, so if someone is worshipping some other god, they'll go to the other god. And then why not directly to Krishna?
Well, he says, Yanti madhyajano bimam, if you worship me, you come to me. The point is that they're all, agents of Krishna. In other words, Indra, he has a very responsible job. He's in charge of the weather and so forth, and that's this whole temple is dedicated to Krishna's pastime of kind of putting Indra in his place, right? That we don't need to worship Indra directly, you can just worship me and go downhill. So, the whole point is that being in this material world, we have turned away from Krishna. We decided that we wanted to compete with him and be the enjoyer, be the controller. Now, we're not suited to that, but since that's our desire, we get the semblance of that. We come to this world. We first come as one of the gods. Prabhupada said we first come as Brahma. Not all Brahmas are pure devotees, obviously. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. So, but then we get more conditioned because we're involved in trying to exploit this world, you see, for our own benefit. And so, so those who are fortunate enough to be understand the Vedic culture and the importance of the demigods, they can improve their material situation more than anything by working on this plane, by going to one of the higher planets. And Indraloka is there, Mahaloka, there's so many other lokas. And you live for a very long time, and you have a healthy body, you don't have to worry about old age and disease, and death. Death is there, ultimately. So, but the point is that doesn't solve your problem. As you said, this is worshiping me indirectly. Where do these demigods get their ability to give you the boons? From Krishna. They're empowered by Krishna. Everything, is like that. And even if we just ordinary workers here, everything we do, I mean, the pandemic was a wake-up call, actually, because suddenly ordinary people all over the world saying, well, this can come to me, I can, not threatening. So that mortality, this is something that we should think of all the time. Janma mrityu jana vyadi dukkha doshana darshanam, Krishna says in chapter 13. One of the aspects of knowledge is to soberly understand, yes, birth, old age, disease, and death is which are inevitable, makes all efforts to try to get some situation of peace and happiness here moot. We can't achieve it. We should try rather to revive our Krishna consciousness. So when we leave the body, then we don't come back again. Rather, we go to that spiritual world. Not the Indraloka, Mahaloka, no loka, Goloka. That's the planet we want, the planet of Krishna. Because then there's no return. He promises several places here. There's no return. Now, it's a whole other question we don't have time for. Why did we come down in the first place? We can try to answer that tomorrow. But here we are, and the idea is that worshiping other gods is just a diversion. It won't get you, it'll get you maybe up to Indra-loka if you do it right, but then you have to come back down again and you didn't really make any progress. So we should worship Krishna as he advises directly. And just like worshiping the root of the tree or watering the wood of the tree, all the branches and the flowers and the twigs and everything are nourished. So if we worship Krishna, all the gods will be satisfied. Ultimately, if we worship, we don't have to say, oh, you're not worshiping me. That was Indra's big fallacy. He said, oh, I understand, okay, this is my Lord. And of course, he gave up in the end. So that's the real point of the Krishna consciousness movement. You worship Krishna alone. We're running out of time. So I'm just going to give you one real quick poem. We don't have time. Afterward, maybe. Okay, they're going to open the curtains. So here's the thought of the day. Sense pleasure is a dream. Krishna supreme. The aim is prem, and the way is the name. So I think we made some T-shirts for that. But think of that. Okay, we have another class tomorrow. You're all invited. Same time, same station. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Now I don't see my friend Ram Vilas. Maybe he's out of town. Huh? Oh, he is here.